We are now live. Let's get this set up.
Just have to work that one.
Oops. Okay, we are live. We've got a couple of people, so we'll just wait here for Walter to get situated. And we had two. Now we're down to one. I think that one is me. Nobody's in chat yet, so we'll just wait here.
No, I was just gonna look up something.
Well,
That's not what I was gonna look up.
oh, three people there. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Let us know who's here. Oh, I forgot to bring up something. Keep them entertained.
I don't know what he's getting. And I'm not a very good entertainer. We're kind of in a rush this afternoon. Trying to get set up. So
what lies are you telling everybody?
nobody. Oh, you had to okay do that.
That's my new one today.
Okay, so.
Okay, so who's on here? Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy, and Ilona's here, and Mel's here, and that's great. Thanks, Mel, for the email today. I wrote you back a reply. You gave me a lot of stuff to look at in terms of dyeing fabric or printing on fabric. So I'm going to check out the various resources you mentioned to me. Thank you very much for that. And, okay, so I'm a little out of breath. I had to run downstairs. I'm cooking dinner in the background, so occasionally I may have to get up. We're using the Instapot today. I'm making tikka masala, chicken tikka masala, an Indian dish. And I've made it before, but this recipe is a little different because it uses the Instapot. So you may see me get up occasionally to let go of the steam in my pot. And we're drinking today Bloody Caesars. And this time they've got booze in them. So that's going to be real fun. I'm not sure if we're going to... We've had a few people already send me, we're up to 10, send me some email today saying that they couldn't make the live one. They'd catch us later on the rebroadcast because someone had a funeral to go to. There was a tuba recital or something for Christmas in their locale. So they were checking that out. And a few other people had things on, had company coming, things like that. It's a busy time of the year. So that's okay. So we're up to 13. So who's here? Catherine's here. Hi, Catherine. And Debbie is here. And Cindy's here. What is Blood Ceases? Caesars, I mean. Well, I think we explained this once. It's like a Bloody Mary. A Bloody Mary has tomato juice, some spices in it, and vodka. A Bloody Caesar used to be something unique to Canada. It's not so unique to Canada now because it's made the same way as a Bloody Mary, except we use something, instead of tomato juice, we use something called clamato juice, which is a combination of tomato juice and clam juice. And I'm not a big lover of seafood, and I would never eat a clam, but in this concoction, it's actually quite tasty. And the reason it was a Canadian thing was because the company that made clamato juice was a Canadian company. But now it's extended across North America. I don't know if it's over in Europe now or not. It might be. So it's no longer uniquely a Canadian drink. But at one time, when you used to go to the States and ask for a Bloody Caesar, they'd go, "You mean Mary?" And I went, "No, Caesar." And then I'd explain to them, and they'd look at you like, "What the heck is Mott's clamato juice?" But now they know. So that's what it is. It's quite spicy. There's Tabasco, Worcestershire sauce, clamato juice, vodka, ice.
Also add a pinch of celery salt to it.
Oh, and a pinch of celery salt, and you garnish it with a celery stick as well. Oh, Barb's on here. Hi, Barb. How are you? I don't know, Barb, I can't remember if you've ever made one of our live presentations. You must be bored. So, anyways, let's get started. Oh, Oh, Virginia's here from South Carolina. Do I have you on my... I do not. I'm going to add you to my list, Virginia. And yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. Had to be said. Just had to be said. I mean, how much more? Michelini. And you're from South Carolina. Okay. Okay. Let's get started. So what's been happening? Well, right off the bat, I have to tell you exciting news for me. Might not be exciting for you. But many of you probably know who Mike Deacon is. He lives in Leeds, England, and of course he has several YouTube broadcasts every week, and I consider him one of the gods of art journaling. And you've heard me talk about him before, and every month he does a Mission Inspiration prompt, and he sets it up like a Mission Impossible. Remember the old show, Mission Impossible, this message will self-destruct in 3 seconds, and that kind of thing? Well, that's sort of how he sets it up, and he gives you these prompts that you're supposed to use along with a color scheme and some inspiring words to create an art journal page for the month. And I don't know, I know he watched my last vlog where I kind of mentioned that I love his stuff, but lately I haven't been feeling that inspired with the prompts. Nothing to do with him, just my mood kind of a thing. I just haven't been into it. So I haven't done the last couple of Mission Inspirations. Well, he contacted me and asked me if I'd like to be a guest agent on Mission Inspiration. I would come up with the prompts. Maybe that was to get back at me. Secret agent. Yeah, well, that's how it's based. Maybe he's getting back at me for what I said. I didn't mean it in a nasty way, and I'm pretty sure he knew that. But he asked me anyways to be a guest agent and to write up the prompts and to do the little introduction for it. And he also wants to do a collaboration with me as well, sometime in January or February. The only problem I have is I'm very honored to be asked. I told him that. Is that, of course, you know, we're going to Australia, and we leave February the 2nd and don't come back until the end of the first week in March. So I said to him, you know, if it worked into his plans for after March, when we came back, fine, or I could probably do it in January as well. In fact, I got so excited about doing it, and this is the way I operate sometimes. I do things very fast when I'm interested. So I wrote up the prompts and did the little intro and sent them off to Mike basically a day and a half after he asked me about doing it. So it's done. He just has to do the editing. I don't know when he's going to put it up. And I've actually done the actual art journal pages as a sample to go along with it. But I'm not posting that until Mike releases the Mission Inspiration for it. But I can tell you this. That particular Mission Inspiration has sort of a vintage steampunkish theme to it. So just saying. Little teaser there if you do the Mission Inspirations. And if you don't, you should check out Mike Deacon's website as well. He sells, you've heard me mention before, he sells stencils that he designs and laser cut materials and his digi-downloads. And I think I have all the stencils he's ever designed, and I have all the digi-downloads. Their prices are extremely reasonable, even though they are in pounds.
And you've never had any problem with customs or anything like that with that, no?
Nope. And his shipping is very reasonable. It's a flat rate of £5.95, £5.95, or however you say that. Which, okay, in Canadian dollars, that works out to probably about $8 or so, maybe a little bit more. But really, that's still reasonable. And his stencils usually are about £4 a piece, which are about the same as if you buy a Tim Holtz stencil here or something like that.
I look shorter than you right now.
Well, I'm maybe sitting higher than you are.
Oh, okay.
But if I sit down any lower, I'm going to look like little Munchkin. So anyways, I'm really honored that he has asked me to do this. So look for it. Of course, I'll probably make a big announcement anyways when it's up, because really, I consider that to be a compliment that he asked me to do this. Now again, maybe he asked me to do it because, you know, shut up or put up kind of a thing.
Or maybe he's running out of ideas to do so.
Well, yeah, I can see that because he's been doing it for a while. So
it's always good to get fresh ideas or fresh input.
Yeah. I think it's about to blow in about a minute. It's getting down to a minute. So anyways, let's see what people are saying. Barb says, that's so nice, Stephen. Thank you, Barb. And Brenda is here. Sandy is here. Do I have Sandy? Yep, I've got Sandy on here. Oh, Nari, you're here today. That's great, because I know it's really late in your end of the world, in Australia. It is Australia.
It's really early.
Or is it really early? Oh, yeah, it's Monday morning, isn't it?
Hours
over there.
ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
Depending on where she lives.
Yeah. Well, Nari's in... Oh, carry on the conversation. She's in Australia, I think.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to.
But I'm supposed to add the other stuff.
Okay, go ahead.
You just talk to the people. This will only
Yep.
take me a minute. I'm supposed to take the steam off on the quick. And you can see the steam going. Well, you're real talkative. I said,
I don't like talking. I'm only good at interjecting.
Right. So you can hear my Indian food sizzling in the background. So I hope that doesn't drive out. How come your glass is in front of the microphone?
I don't know.
Okay. Neri says, or Sandy says that Mike lives about an hour from her. And Neri says, love Mike. I've been a fan for a couple of years now. Craft and Bev's here. Hi, Craft and Bev. And hi, Maria. And Catherine says she watches Mike all the time and enjoys his work. Yep, so do I. And Debbie says, hi, Walter. What am I, chopped liver? I should just call this Live with Walter with a guest appearance from me or something like that. But no, just kidding. Okay, so what else is news? Barb says, watching you two always makes me hungry. But Barb, we're not always cooking. Okay, never mind. Debbie says it was because he was sitting on his own. Oh yeah, well I was right behind him. Okay, so that's about Mike Deacon. So Walter's got a new cooking toy, which tomorrow on my vlog I took some video of it. Since we're live, I can't really show you the actual video because my technology doesn't allow me to do that kind of thing. But it will be in my vlog tomorrow. And you tell them about the new item because I have to check my food.
Bought a sous vide circulator, which is everybody calls it boil in the bag, but it's not. It is sort of you have to cook. You have to. It's good for cooking things like steaks and stuff like that if you want an even consistency. So a friend of ours got one, but he got a really fancy one, and I bought an inexpensive one because I wanted to see if it would work for us or not. So on Saturday night, I cooked a steak using it, and basically you put it in a bath of water. You put your steak in a bag. You put stuff in with your spices in with your steak, and you eliminate the air from the bag, and then you put it in a water bath and set the water temperature. I was cooking for medium rare, so I had it set at 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and basically cooked the steak for about 2 hours at that temperature. And what it does is it makes the steak completely evenly cooked throughout. And when you take it out, it's sort of gray looking, but then you sear it on both sides. And then when you eat it, you've got a perfectly cooked steak in the middle. And plus, because it's been cooking for so long, it semi-tenderizes the steak. So actually, it turned out really, really, really good. So I'll have to experiment and try it with other things. Apparently, you can make creme brulee really easily that way as well. So we'll see. It looks like a hand blender, and you put it in the water bath, and it circulates water, and it keeps the water temperature at the right temperature. So that's my new toy.
Well, you were worried about these potatoes.
Yeah.
They're cooked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't have to worry about that. So, put in here, so let's just put it on saute. Smells good. Do other people enjoy Indian food? We love Indian food.
Well, our version of Indian food. I don't know. We've never been to India.
No, that's true. And the only way I'd go to India is as long as I was on a organized tour. Too many people there. Okay, so it's doing its thing now. Saute. Okay, so we're good with that.
It won't saute with the lid on.
Oh, but it said to put it on saute.
Why?
I don't know. Said when I put it on for the next thing, put on saute.
Yeah, you have to have the lid off.
Oh, okay. Well, then if I just put it on to keep warm.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Now it goes to 10. What's that mean?
I don't know.
10 minutes will be on for...
Yeah, I guess. I don't
Okay.
know. Just say it.
All right, fine. Okay. Okay, now it's at 000. I guess that means it's doing something. The light's on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, okay. Nobody's home. All right, so let's see. Yeah, Nairi says that it's going to be 40, heading for 40 in Adelaide.
Oh, right now here, that's why I was looking at my phone earlier. It's -7 Celsius today, and that works out to 19 degrees Fahrenheit.
And Mal says, lucky you, Nairi, we're having dark all the time and getting colder now, around -8C here. So in our scale, this is still quite warm. Yeah, what are we today?
Yeah, I just looked up -7, and it's 19 degrees Fahrenheit. So
okay.
Because it's weird. In Canada, it's weird. We're metric, but for some things we use Fahrenheit, and for some things we use Celsius. So it's kind of bizarre. So I can't seem to I can't convert temperatures in my head when there are certain degrees. So like I know 70 degrees Fahrenheit's about 21 degrees Celsius, but then when I get to -7, I don't know how to convert, so I have to look it up on my phone.
So Virginia says, please say the name again. I would love to try one, love to cook, but not Indian food. It's called an Instant Pot. It's basically a pressure cooker and slow cooker combined into one device. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago when we first got it, and we've been using it. We keep experimenting with it, but so far we're kind of happy with it. Like what I just
yeah, this one, the Instant Pot version is a Canadian invention, or
yeah, it was
brand, but they've since then lots of other manufacturers are making them as well as their electronic version of a pressure cooker.
Yeah. So far we've been sort of impressed with it. We need to gut our kitchen and build like the world's longest counter because we have so many bloody appliances and no place to put them. And we have them all over the house. I think he's keeping the Instapot and the circulator in his office now. And we got stuff downstairs and another utility closet.
I need to clean out some of these.
We do have a graveyard of appliances, I can tell you that. We own 2 microwaves. There was a time in our life when we bought our first house together. We both came with our own stuff, and Walter had a microwave, a large microwave. I had a smaller microwave, and then we bought a 3rd microwave, which I'm really not sure why we did, but we did.
No. What happened was...
we got one from your sister because...
Yeah.
That's right. And so I literally stacked them, one on top of the other in my kitchen. And I used to tell people when they come into my house, you've got 3 microwaves? Yeah, just call me Jane Jetson. I'm dialing dinner, if you remember the reference from the Jetsons, the old cartoon. But we have 2 microwaves now. And you want to know something? I don't think I can live without having 2 microwaves. We use our microwaves a lot.
We use one a lot, and then sometimes we'll use 2. But a lot of times it's just that we'll pre-cook food if we're having a dinner party or something, and then we'll use the microwaves to bring them up to temperature again.
Yeah. So we are talking about possibly replacing these 2 microwaves with some new ones, but these ones are still working. It's just that they're white appliances. We've had them for a long time. Well, we've had these ones for how many years? Over 20 years.
Yeah.
And you know how the white plastic on things start to yellow over time? And to me, that just looks dirty and grungy. I mean, we've certainly got our money's worth. I
mean, it's not that the expense or anything, but I keep reading these negative reviews that people buy these new microwaves and then they don't work after a year. And ours have been working fine, so.
And Barb says, Stephen, if you start dyeing silk, you'll need one dedicated to dye and fabric. Barb, I'm not sure what that's in reference to. I understand about dyeing the material, but you'll need one dedicated to dye and fabric. I'm not sure what that means. One what? Okay, so you heard about the new thing, and the food came out really good, but you'll see the video tomorrow on the vlog from it. I mean, I was impressed by how good the steak was. And then we also watched a video about doing it, how to season it, and they were saying to put some butter in the bag with that, and we had never put butter on steak before, but apparently a lot of people do, I guess. But anyways, the guy was saying that people are saying, no, you shouldn't do that, or say, yes, you should do it. So he did both to compare it, and actually he seemed to like the one without the butter in it. So we didn't know if we were going to ruin it or what, but it turned out okay.
Yeah, we had put butter in it. So.
But it turned out okay. She says, and Barb says, with your interest in fabric. Oh, yeah, okay. Yes, I get it now. Yeah, I would. And you have to cook the silk in the microwave. Oh, I see. But of course, you wouldn't want to be using that for cooking food if you're going to use it with something like a chemical in it too. But yeah, I see what you mean. And Nairi says, Barb, that sounds interesting. A video, perhaps? Perhaps, Barb? Maybe? With it. Barb does some really wonderful stuff with fabric. That's where I got interested, actually. It was Barb who got me interested in trying to stamp on fabric and the whole bit. So, I haven't done anything with the material that I made that you've seen in the video, but I'm going to. Probably another tote bag. I don't know. I'm really impressed with myself that I can sew a tote bag. Walter is not impressed, but whatever. He's just jealous because he used
I made curtains before. So.
And he made me a dress. Well. Don't go there. You don't want to know why. That's something for another time. Okay, so what was he doing this week? Well, highlight of the week, if you can call it a highlight. My mother was invited to a luncheon, and as you know, we've talked about this. My mother's mobility is not very good. And her best friends were going to pick her up. They live in a different town than she does. They were going to pick her up in the whole bit. And I said, no, it's been a while since they've actually physically seen her. They talk to her all the time on the phone. But I said, you'll never get her in and out of a car. I said, I have to use a wheelchair with her now. And I said, I kind of know how to do it. I'm used to it. And plus, these other people, nice of them to want to do that. But they're in their 80s. They're older than my mother. They're much more mobile, but they have their own health issues too. So, you know, and if my mother was to slip, there is no way they would be able to support her or catch her or anything. I don't know if I could. That's my biggest fear. I'm always very careful when I load her up into a car or out of it. But it started to snow on the night before.
One of our first snow days.
Yeah, we had one of our first snow days. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I knew she was going to call, so at 8 o'clock in the morning, she calls me up and goes, well, do you think we should go? You know, like I said, why, Mom? It's just a little snow. Well, yeah, but the roads will be really busy, and there's accidents everywhere, and like my mother's glued to a TV set, so anything the media tells her, she takes as gospel truth. And you know how the media hype it up. Yeah, sure, there's going to be accidents. The first snowfall, everybody drives like an idiot. It's like they've never seen snow in this country before. Duh. We're Canada. It's more rare to see grass. Well, in the last few years with climate change, who knows? That's maybe not so true anymore. But
well, we didn't have that much snow. We had enough snow. We had enough snow that I had to shovel the driveway, but it wasn't a lot. No, and it was fluffy.
It was fluffy. It was very pretty. You know, the first snowfalls usually are. That's actually not technically our first snowfall. It's our first significant snowfall where we got more than just what they call a dusting.
That we had to shovel.
Yeah, shovel plow. And when he says we, he means me.
I shoveled it and you snoo blew it.
You snoo blew it? Snoo blew it. Ooh. There's a new creature. I went out and I snoo blewed it. I snoo blewed it. That, for if you don't know, is a Canadian accent with a hint of Dutch. You know, snoo blew. Yeah. He's a foreigner. So anyways, it was very pretty. But I said to Mom, snow happens. It's Canada. Welcome to December. Well, I know that, but I'm just thinking, it's okay, Mom. We'll just take it slow. We'll come over, get you in plenty of time. And there was no problem. And the roads were pretty much cleared off.
They were a little bit snow covered when I left a little bit before you because I had a doctor's appointment. And it was a little bit, you had to be a little bit careful because the roads were still covered. But by the time I got out of the doctor's appointment, most of it had melted anyway on the road.
Yeah, so it was no problem. Anyways, I really wanted her to go because She doesn't get out that much. We used to go over and take her out for dinner a couple of times a month or whatever. I used to go over and she'd like to shop at Shoppers Drug Mart, so I'd take her over and push her around and she'd get her makeup and whatever other stuff she needed. And then we'd do lunch. But lately, she's been housebound. She just doesn't want to go. And that's not because of her mobility issues, that's a mental thing. And it's so easy to get into that state of mind where you go, it's just too much effort to go out. And I don't want her thinking that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because
and I knew that when I say years ago when I wrecked my leg. I had a little accident with my leg, and I was stuck in the house for about 6 weeks. And when I actually went to go back to work, the first day I sort of froze. I couldn't move because I hadn't been outside on my own for such a long time, and that's easily that happens so easily. And I know now that you have to push yourself to do stuff.
Yeah. Debbie says that they had bad ice in the UK last week.
Yeah, we heard some of that stuff on the news that there was a lot of winter conditions in the UK.
In the UK. Well, on one of Mike Deacon's vlogs, he was showing it there too. It looked more like here than it does over there.
Yeah.
But, well, I don't know. Maybe it is climate change. Who knows? This time last year, we weren't here. We were on a cruise ship leaving Auckland for Sydney. And Facebook comes up and reminds me of that all the time. Damn Facebook. War cry now is, oh, when are we going to someplace warm? Yeah, okay. I used to love winter, but not so much now. Now, I do have another video clip that I took the other day of, it's been snowing off and on all week, but not as much as it did at the first of the week. But it was snowing, was it yesterday that I did it? I think it was.
Friday night it snowed.
Yeah, well, it was snowing Saturday morning, but you missed Saturday morning because you were asleep. There's something that happens before noon. It's called life.
Yeah, but you pass out at like 9 o'clock at night. So.
Hey, I'm up early. Whatever. I'm a day hawk, you're a night hawk. Works out. So I took a video.
6 hours a day I don't have to see it.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's going to be one of those kind of conversations, is it? Here, bend over and give you some celery. Okay, so anyways, how do we get off onto that? So I took a video of it coming down because we have all this forest in behind our house, and it does look very pretty. The only thing was I took it through the screens because we have our day, so you're going to see a grid work.
What kind of an idiot does that?
Because I didn't want to go outside. I didn't have my shoes on.
You can pull the screen away.
Well, I didn't do that.
Okay.
I didn't think about it at the time. But it's still okay. It'll work. Use imagination. Whatever. Okay, so what are people talking about here? Brenda says you can take a cheap cut of beef, put it in crock pot, and with one package of anu mix, one pack of ranch dip mix, one stick of butter, yum yum.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
but that's if you want to braise it and slow cook it. I'm talking about a tender cut of meat that you want that's medium rare, like a steak of some sort, like a beef tenderloin or what we had was a strip loin.
Yeah, and it came out beautiful.
And the thing I have is when I put it on the barbecue or something like that, I have a tendency to accidentally overcook it, so it ends up coming out almost well done rather than medium or something.
I don't like.
So the one thing I like about this was that I was able to cook it exactly the way I wanted it done. So
it got the Good Housekeeping Walter seal of approval. So, okay, so Mom's luncheon, she had a good time. She said, you can stay too. And I said, Mom, it's your day, you go. And I have some running around to do. It probably took me longer to get her there and to get her back home than how long the luncheon took. It was just at like Swiss Chalet, but there's about 20 of them or something like that.
Yeah, people don't know what Swiss Chalet is. Swiss Chalet is a chain restaurant.
Well, they have it in the States.
No,
don't
they don't.
Oh,
that's Swiss Chalet, doesn't it? This is a Canadian thing.
Oh, okay.
Swiss Chalet is a chain restaurant that specializes in rotisserie chicken, And at first, that's all you could get was rotisserie chicken or chicken sandwiches or stuff like that. But now they've branched out and you can get pastas and roast beef and everything. But every time I go to Swiss Chalet, I still want the chicken.
The chicken, because it got this sauce. The sauce is, people will actually drink the sauce. It's that good. I have no idea what it's made of. It's sort of a barbecue sauce. It's very runny. It's spicy, but not hot spicy. It's really good. You can actually go to the grocery store and buy it in dried powder form and mix it up yourself, although it never quite tastes exactly the same as what you get in the restaurant. But anyway, she had a good time, and that was good. I was glad that she did. I was so afraid she was going to call me up, and even if it hadn't snowed, and say, "Oh, I'm just not feeling up to it." Yeah, because that's the beginning of the end, because she's got to get out. So anyway, she'll be here next Monday for a week from this Monday for Christmas Day, of course. My sister will bring her from that. My sister only lives a mile away from her. So what else? So we were talking about the first major snowfall of the year. And so I went out. He was off to his doctor's appointment. And before I went to pick up my mother on that day, I got out the snowblower. And he's like hovers. He's in his car. And I'm in the garage about to start up the snowblower.
Well, no, I hovered because of the automatic start on the snowblower wasn't working properly, and I took it apart earlier this year and got it working. I just want to make sure it was working still.
Yeah. Okay. Who blew out the driveway when you used to go to work?
Yeah, I know, but that was before I replaced the motor on the snowblower for the instant start.
Well, it started. I blew out the driveway, and then 2 doors down, there's a widowed lady that lives there, and she was out trying to shovel it by hand, and I thought, oh, I've got some time here. So I went down and said, "Do you need a hand?" She says, "Oh, yeah, please." I said, "Okay." So I took the blower down and blew out her driveway, and then the neighbor that's in between us and her, they didn't look like they were home. They travel quite a bit too, so I thought, well, I'm here, I might as well blow out their driveway as well. So, it's kind of like do the whole neighborhood kind of deal. But it was too much for her to handle. And I think our next door neighbor, the one that I just mentioned that's between the two of us, I think he often goes over and blows out her driveway for her. So anyways, that was my good deed for the day with it. And it did look pretty. So, new thing I was talking about last week, perler beads, which I know a lot of you know what they were, but to me they were new. So my order came from Amazon, the 6,000 perler bead bucket of multiple colors. Yeah, if you get into perler beads, I don't really recommend getting one of those buckets, because how long did it take you to sort them out?
I'm the one that sorted it.
Well, you're the one that said you wanted to.
Yeah, actually, it's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, you like tedious jobs.
I do.
I can't. It would drive me up the wall.
I do. Well, I've had to do tedious things at work before.
Yeah,
so.
well.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting, but I don't think I would want to do 22,000.
Yeah, so we're not. But then I went looking around because I'll show you what I made today in just a minute. Actually, I made some snowflakes. I didn't bring them upstairs, but I'll be showing those on my vlog tomorrow. I learned a new thing called table scatter. I didn't know there was a term for it. You know, when people take things and for decorations on a table, like in the fall for Thanksgiving or whatever, they'll put leaves or cutouts of leaves on the table all over. Apparently that's called table scatter. So I thought I'd do some table scatter with snowflakes. And I've got a combination of ones I made with perler beads and ones that I cut out of glitter paper with my Cricut Maker, just to make things look festive. I guess table scatter too, or all those little things. Oh, I hated that. That was very popular a few years ago, where people would put all those little glimmery things that say like happy birthday on them, or little shapes and things, and they put them in an envelope if it was your birthday, and you opened it up and this stuff went flying, and you were sucking it up for 6 months in your vacuum because it went everywhere. Or people were throwing them, I guess that's table scatter, on their table, and I went, the heck with that, not getting into that. But these aren't that small, so they're easy, but they'll look nice. But anyways, today, so I ordered. I looked online Michaels has their own brand or something, and I almost bought some of theirs, but I thought, well, will they melt the same as the perler beads? Because I'd already tried it, and they work very well.
Now, mind you, their colors seem to be a little...
Yeah, their colors were a bit cheapy looking, you know. Not that Michaels beads were any cheaper than perler beads. Of course, nothing at Michaels is cheap, even with the coupon. So I went on Amazon, and their prices varied, like from anywhere for a package of 1,000 one-color beads at $3.59 up to like $7.99. It seemed to depend on the colors, but also seemed to depend on where they were coming from. So then we found a Canadian distributor called Hirschner's that's located on the other side of, in Kitchener, which is a place that's about...
it's on the west end side. We're on the east end side of Toronto, and they're on the west
They're
end
about
side.
an hour from Toronto, but westernly.
Yeah.
And I had ordered some from them before, because they deal in wool and quilling products and other craft products too. Online. I don't know if they have a store or not.
I think they do.
But anyways, their prices seem to be the best. And so I ordered... I went on to find out what the popular colors are that one should have. And so I did. There's a guy on a YouTube. I might review his YouTube in future vlogs. He calls it pixel art. And his name is Roy McCoy, I think.
Something like that.
And he does this in a major way. He does portraits, and he does landscapes, and he does all kinds of stuff. And his has got thousands and thousands and thousands of beads in it. And they're really quite fascinating, what he does with it. So I went on to one of his videos, and he talked about what colors you must have colors, to get started. And so I wrote those down, and I ordered couple of thousand of each color except for white and black. Those I ordered 4,000 of each. That sounds like a lot of beads. It's not. That's not a lot of beads, because today I'm pretty much out of black after this thing I did today, and out of blue as well. It didn't too much. So this is what I did today. This is my butterfly. And that's what it all looks like, little pixels, but they're little round beads, and then you melt them. Once you got them on this pegboard thing laid out, it's not as tedious as I thought it could be, and you get to the point where you can work pretty fast in it. Anyways, I'm going to do something with this. I'm going to use this on a canvas, on a mixed media piece, I think. But yeah, so when my other beads come, and I may even order more beads, I don't know. And you can make three-dimensional things. You can, like, people design all kinds of things with it. So it's kind of cool. And let's just see what people are saying here. Oh, there's a question for you, Walter. I'll come back to it. Cheap beef. Okay, we talked about that. Black ice, snow. Lots of black ice, Melly says. Have to wear studded boots very often this time of the year when going for a walk with my dog. Walter, B wants to know, do you like jigsaws? Probably because of the way you're picking out those beads.
I haven't done one since I was a kid, so probably not, because it's not. I don't mind if I'm doing something for an end product, like he needed his bead sorted, so that was a goal of mine to do that, but. Jigsaws frustrate me because I'm trying to figure out which piece goes where and stuff like that. I'd rather just sort beads.
I've got two giant jigsaws downstairs. When I first retired, I thought I'd lay this out on a table down in the rec room, and when I got 5 or 10 minutes, I'd come over and put pieces in. No, I can't stand jigsaw puzzles. What was in my head about buying the bloody things, I hated them as a kid.
I don't think I'm really into that, but I mean, if you give me a puzzle, like he'll say sometime, oh, I'm looking all over the internet for this this thing or something like that, and I can't find any. Well, I'm really good at internet searches, so I'll go online and I'll look for hours for something that he needs up.
He's really good at finding out your deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah, if I want to find out something.
If it's on the web, he'll find it. So be careful what you say and what you do, what pictures you put on the web. Walter will find you.
If I'm interested in doing a search or something, I'll do that. So I'm kind of an internet guy, but I sort of also do. I'll do something like the beads. The beads sort of sounded like a fun project for me to do. So.
Yeah, we haven't tried it yet.
What?
The beads.
No, actually, I'm not sure about doing the beads. I just wanted
well, I could have got all. I could have got the 22,000.
No, I don't know. I was getting pretty tired at the end of 6,000. So.
Oh, my eyes have been dropping out of my head after the first 10 minutes, and I'm not that well coordinated. That's what actually, because these you can use tweezers on them, but you put them on a pegboard. But I just used my hands, and I'm surprised I haven't knocked them flying all over the place. Actually, the pegboards hold them in pretty good.
Actually, I was getting pretty good at picking them up with a tweezer. So.
And I just bought a program that for my iPad. You plug in a picture, whatever you want, and it'll convert it into a pattern for you to put your beads down. What I really want to do is I want to try to do a like a group of 7 work of art. It's going to take a lot of beads, though, and a lot of patience for something like that, because I plugged one in today, and if I made it too small to cut down the number of beads, you couldn't tell what it was. So you need to be a fairly large size, so I may actually have to buy some more. They interlock the little plates to put them on to do one like that, and plus I didn't have probably enough beads because it would take quite a while.
I mean, when I was working, there was like a couple of things I had to do sometimes that turned out to be very tedious to do, and it would take me almost a whole day to do it. But there was an end product for me to have to do that. So, I worked in automation and stuff, but there were sometimes things that you could not automate. So, I just ended up doing this job that took me almost a day. That was boring as hell, but I did it in as methodical a way I could. So
see, that's why I liked being a teacher. There was never a dull moment, believe me, and every day was different. Sometimes to the point where you want. Well, that's why my hair is the color it is. But anyways, so I'm just looking here. Let's see, Brenda. I think it was Brenda. Yeah, Brenda had to leave. She says, "What's pissing me off?" Question mark. Question mark. Getting company during your live show. We'll catch up on the replay. And let's see. I'm just seeing what anybody else says. Oh, Kimberly says, I love Hirschner's. I know I spelled it wrong. Yeah, you're pretty close. And Oriental Trading Company.
Oh, would you know?
Yeah, go away. Yeah, they think it's that people are saying they think it's pretty. Yeah, it's not bad. It's only my third thing that I've made with perler beads, and this is probably the biggest thing that I've made so far. But I have ideas for this. I'm going to mount it on a canvas, but I might do the background in perler beads too, because actually that guy that I was telling you about, this Roy McCoy guy for pixel art, he was showing some of his pieces, and he does that, and they actually look really fantastic. But I'd like to do something in abstract as well. I don't know. It's a whole new world out there for this. Craft and Bev says, I love jigsaw puzzles, but only the ones where I'm interested in the pictures or because of the difficulty of them. I have 2 puzzles labeled the most difficult puzzle in the world. Is it the black ball? There was one that's a black ball on a black background. I don't know how you're supposed to put that together. I mean, I wouldn't even attempt it. Mel says the harder jigsaw with the one I purchased from British Museum, Rosetta Stone. It took me a couple of weeks to make it. And then, what do you do with them afterwards? That's what I always wondered.
I sort of think about.
Because you spent all this time putting the pieces together, and some of them are really, really elaborate and very nice to look at. I suppose you can glue them down. You can get Mod Podge puzzle glue or something, and I guess you can frame it and put it up, I suppose, with it. Because, I mean, it would be a complete waste. You spend 2 weeks putting this bloody jigsaw puzzle together, and you go, okay, done. In the box it goes. Bev says, I would love to put that one jigsaw puzzle together. That's something like 20,000 pieces. Yeah, no. And then B says, Walter, I hate them. My son at school used to turn them upside down to do them. I am the same and enjoy internet searches for obscure things. And Maria says baked beans is a good one too.
Baked beans.
Are we talking baked beans in the
I think-
Instapot, or are we talking baked beans as a puzzle? I'm lost, people. Your messages go by so fast that I lose the thread. So sorry.
I'm thinking baked beans is a puzzle, but anyway.
I was thinking baked beans as a baked beans. I should have made baked beans for Sunday. Oh, yeah, maybe I can. Let's see. I hang on to them. I hang them up. Bev says. You could make cover for your art journal or something. I guess she's referring to the perler beads. Yeah, you could. You could.
Yeah.
With it. And then Kimberly says, my great aunt would hang them on the wall. Well, yeah, you got to put them up for somebody to see. It's an art form, like anything else. Okay, so I was going to say, now it's time for What's Pissing Off Walter, but I want to change this segment to a new name. I want to call it What's Eating Walter, eh? And probably you won't get my reference, but there was an old movie called What's Eating Gilbert Grape? So What's Eating Walter, eh? Like A as in Canadians use it as an interjection. Apparently, we do. I guess. I don't know, eh? What do you think, eh?
Hey.
You know, eh? So what's pissing you off, Walter? What's eating you?
You want me in what's pissed me off or what I was talking about earlier?
What were you talking about? Oh,
Oh,
what?
funny things my mother used to do.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not really pissed off.
It's not pissing me off, but
that's
it's something
fine.
I thought it was a good topic to talk about. See, I come from an immigrant family, and my parents immigrated from Holland in 1954. And my dad was the only one that had a job. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. So she learned how to speak English by reading children's books and that, but because she never really had to use it in business, she never really learned how to write, but she could read in English, and of course she spoke English as best as she could, but there were things that she couldn't come up with the name in English, so she'd sometimes improvise and make her own name. And we as kids would sometimes look at each other and say, okay, what the hell is she talking about?
Well, you're going to tell them about that.
Yeah, I know. Hang on. So anyway, years and years ago, there was a bus. She used to take the bus. My dad had the car. She used to take the bus every once in a while to get somewhere. And there was an Oshawa Boulevard bus, right? So it would be short formed on the bus. It'd say Oshawa BLVD. And she would call it Oshawa Bloodfield bus. Right?
Well, in Oshawa, there could be a place like that.
Right? So we're going Oshawa Bloodfield. What's that? But anyway, that's what she'd make up these names. And then she'd say, she would ask me, for some reason, when I ever took her the elevator.
Sorry for the noise.
Whenever I took the elevator, she would call it the alligator for some reason.
The alligator?
The alligator, right? But the funniest thing she did one night was she used to like to knit. And I'd sit at the kitchen table with her and talk, especially after my dad passed away. And we just talk about current events and things like that, right? So she was knitting, and she goes, "Oh, I really like this wool. It's foreplay wool." Foreplay wool. And I started to laugh, and I said, "It's not foreplay, it's four-ply." Four-ply, not foreplay. So anyway, stuff like that. I don't know why we were watching something on the internet where actually it was what was the guy on the TV show?
Yeah, it was what's his name? Not Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, it's Jimmy. Is that
Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, Jimmy Fallon.
And they were saying funny things that your parents used to say, that type of thing. So I just sort of thought of that, and I thought that would be interesting to mention on this rather than a what's pissing me off, because I thought it would be a little bit less, a little bit more playful.
Well, in my family, if you said something wrong and it was funny, it would stick for the rest of your life. So, like, I remember years and years ago, I was probably 7 or 8 years old. I'd gotten a birthday card with some money in it from my uncle, And my mother, of course, made me write a thank you note to my uncle. So, of course, I did, but I've never been the world's best speller. Yeah, I was an English teacher. I have an English degree. Let's not go there, okay, people. And so I wrote, "Dear Uncle Tom, thank you very much for the birthday money." Well, for years I had to hear that from my parents, right up into my adult. My father, "Oh, thank you very much." And then my father used to always turn around and say, "Yeah, my son, he's head of the English department's got an English degree, and he can't spell." Oh. And I used to say, "And who's picking your home?"
That's like the time you did that banner.
Oh, God, yeah, I forgot about that.
Years ago, we had a color dot matrix printer. If anybody ever had one of those, it took forever for you to print anything out in color. So, for his friends of his parents, we were having an anniversary party for them, or it may have been your parents' anniversary.
It was my parents' anniversary. Yeah.
Anyway, so it said, he made this banner that took 4 hours to print out, and it said "Happy Anniversary," or "Happy Anniversary" and a number or something like that. He had it all laid out on the couch.
It took a day to make it,
took
literally.
a day. And he says, oh, he was really proud of it. He laid this thing right out on the couch. And I said to him, looked at it, and I said to him, it looks great, but you realize there's 2 N's in anniversary. There was only 1 N in there.
And I couldn't fix it because of the way that they went together and the whole bit. So we just put it up to see if anybody would notice. And I think my brother-in-law noticed.
Yeah.
Of course, him and my sister, they notice everything, and they're not afraid to bring it up all the time. That's how it works in my family. Or I was thinking there was something else before that, and now I can't remember what it was. Oh, I'm having a senior's moment.
What about Yarwachar?
Oh, yeah, well, my father used to always say, way back, he always said, "Well, you are what you are." That was one of his favorite expressions. And then when he found out that I'm gay, and he met Walter and that, one time he started to say, "Well, you are what you..." Never used that term again with him. So, I don't know. That was one of his things. Oh, yeah, I know what it was. When, years and years ago, there used to be a fancy restaurant in the town we lived in, and we went there on a blue moon occasion, once every blue moon. And my sister was only little then. She's about 8 years younger than me. I was probably, I don't know, I was probably a teenager. I was probably about 16 or 17. She would have been 8 or 9 years old. And in this particular restaurant, they had done the walls like you were in an old library or in a, somebody's library in an old home. And it had all these book spines mounted on the wall. And so we're sitting there waiting for dinner to come or something, and my sister's reading the titles on the spines of the books. And she gets to one, and she says, "Oh, Cheeky a Squeal." We're going, "Cheeky a Squeal? What's that?" "Yeah, there's one here called Cheeky a Squeal." She's about 8 or 9, right? She says, "Oh, maybe that one's about a chicken or something." So I'm looking at it, and then realized it was called Cheek a Sequel. She thought it was Cheeky a Squeal. So we did that one to death for years. But my grandmother was famous for taking things to... My grandmother would watch commercials on TV. And that's where she got some of her cooking ideas. My grandmother loved me. That's where I get my love of experimentation with things. But so we went on this craze with pancakes because she had seen on TV that they were piling them up in stacks with, the syrup dripping over them, and she thought that would be good. So she made, my grandmother never did anything in half measures. She made all kinds of pancakes. Now, one thing I did learn was how to figure out when to flip a pancake. And I've never forgotten that because she taught me that when she made these. But she made all these pancakes, and we were staying there for a weekend or something. So she starts to she wanted to make it look like they do it on TV. She was stacking them. She puts one down the plate, but then she realizes she's out of maple syrup. But she's got corn syrup. Now, I don't know if I'm sure most people know what corn syrup is, but you use it in cooking more than anything. It's made out of corn, and it's very sticky, very, very sweet. So she puts down a pancake, pours the corn syrup on it generously, puts another pancake down on top of that, pours corn syrup on it generously. She kept doing this and building the stack up. So we're little kids, basically. We each have a stack of pancakes this high. To this day, I still have not been able to eat corn syrup because I was so violently ill. It was so sweet and gooey. But she saw it on TV, and that's what my grandmother used to do. Used to be, well, that's why I liked her so much. She was a lot of fun. But anyways, so someone said in here that their mother is from, Barb says, my mother called a latte an ooh la la because she couldn't remember the word latte. Well, hello, I would like a tall ooh la la, please. And somebody else said they knew what you meant because their mother was German background, I think. Mm-hmm. Apparently I'm well trained. I got you that drink. I left something out. Doesn't taste like what you made.
No, I know you didn't.
What did I do?
What did you put in it?
I put Worcester sauce, Tabasco, a little pinch of the celery salt, the clamato juice, and vodka, and ice.
What tastes different. I don't know. I don't know what.
Maybe my portions aren't right.
No,
I kind of free-handed it. So, anyways, maybe I'm not that well trained, Mel. Ilona says I had similar problems with my mom. She was German. And so Barb goes about the syrup. And Kimberly says, oh no, corn syrup on pancakes. Yeah, no, not a good thing.
Yeah, I know. My mother did the same thing. We never were used to syrup much, and so we didn't really have much syrup in the house. So my mother would make pancakes, and she thought she was doing me a favor, and she put corn syrup on it.
Oh. Gross. Well, Maria says, what do you put on your pancakes now? Maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
We're Canadian. We have maple syrup out of the wazoo.
You can buy cheaper syrups, but I mean, we don't eat pancakes that often.
No.
So, when we do, we have a jug of Kirkland. Kirkland maple syrup.
Yeah, it comes from Costco, but it's real.
It's actually Quebec maple syrup. Yeah. I guess they have the highest production of maple syrup in Canada.
Like, once you've had real maple syrup, you will not touch Aunt Jemima or Mrs. Butterworth's or any of those other synthetics. There's no way. Yes, they cost a little bit more, but it's worth it. Believe me. And then Barb says, exactly, when she wanted to go for a latte, she would hum and ha and finally come up with, ooh la la, great memory. Bev says, I've never and will never ever have pancakes, cannot stand them, but I love French toast with butter and a little bit of powdered sugar. Now, isn't that funny? I think you're the first person that I've ever met that doesn't like pancakes.
Big on them.
I love pancakes. My mother used to make them for dinner on rare occasions when I was a kid. I loved it. I would beg to have pancakes for supper.
I don't mind pancakes. I don't mind waffles. I like French toast too. French toast though with maple syrup on it.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's always better with maple syrup on it.
My parents actually, a lot of times what they did with pancakes, they didn't really have syrup. So what they did was they would put butter and brown sugar on it, which is okay too. Yeah.
B is off. Good night, B. See you next week. It's kind of funny. So what was pissing you off? I don't know. Memories, going back to your second childhood.
Maybe, I don't know. Both my parents have passed away. So every once in a while, I guess maybe at this time of year, you sort of get sentimental and you start thinking about them again. So
yeah, true. And of course, there's always all kinds of traditions at Christmas time as well. Now, speaking of Christmas, okay, so we would normally be doing our next Stephen and Walter Live would be next Sunday, but that's Christmas Eve. And I imagine you people have something a lot better to do than watch us on Christmas Eve. And quite frankly, we have something better to do than make that video on Christmas Eve.
So Christmas Eve at Jesse's place.
Oh yeah, that would be. There we go. Put the whole damn. I know what that would look like.
Jesse is my sister. We're going there.
That would look like the American Gothic painting. I could just picture your sister with a pitchfork in her hand and your brother-in-law standing beside them there. And go, here we are. But so we'll probably do it either next Friday night, like we used to do, or maybe next Saturday night, whatever. And I will put out a teaser, if I remember to do so, when we decide when we're going to do it.
What's Saturday night? Is that Boxing? Is that...
No, Christmas Eve is Sunday night.
Oh, okay.
Christmas is Monday, a week from this Monday coming. So, just watch for it if you're around. I mean, if you can't make it, you can't make it. Actually, some people sent me emails letting me know. I guess they thought maybe I'd be offended if they didn't show up today. No, life happens, right, people? The rebroadcast is always there for you to check out, and you can always add comments at the bottom. And there wasn't any comments of the week to really talk about this week, because most people were agreeing with everything I said, so that's good. Whatever. I don't think I said anything too controversial last week. Actually, I said some controversial things, I think, though, in my vlog on Monday. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Don't mean to offend anybody, but I do go kind of on a bit of a rant. I got to find something really fun to talk about, so I think I've got something for tomorrow. I'm going to talk about poking. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that, unless I come up with something better. But, Barb's off, okay. Bye, Barb. See you on the other side. Cindy says, next Saturday is my birthday. I'm a big 59 years old. You know what they say? The first 70 are the hardest.
You're catching up to me.
Yeah. Well, you're going to be 60 next month.
Well,
end
you
of
don't
next
have to be
month.
reminded about that.
Yeah, well, I'm already at.
You're already at.
Yeah, right.
You'll be 60 and a half.
Yeah. I'm 6 months older than you. So, anyways, so we'll let you know about that. And I don't know. I'm going to do some video on Christmas Day around too. Watch the old people stare at each other and drool at the turkey, whatever. But I'd probably put that up on my vlog. My vlog may be a different day too.
Yeah, actually,
that week.
We're going over my sister's on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day she's coming here with her husband. And
thank God.
His mother.
Thank God.
We were afraid that we'd be just stuck with his mother.
Oh,
anyway.
I'll never forget the one Christmas when there was just Mom and Dad and you and I. Oh, that was painful. That was really painful because Dad wasn't in the best of mental health at that point in time. And yeah, that was horrible. And that's when that day we phoned up Jesse and Frank last minute or something. And I said, so, what are you guys doing? Why don't you come over here for dinner? Yeah, great idea. Please come for dinner, please. With it. This is why I don't like to be here at Christmas.
And his sister and their 2 kids are going to be here.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Because once my sister, hopefully, I'll have to watch what I say around my sister. Because if she gets into her cups, and I get into my cups, as they say, there could be...
Fireworks.
Fireworks, yeah. Oh, my sister and I usually get along okay, but there are certain issues that... And you know, I've already talked in my vlog about not having a filter. Yeah, my sister doesn't have one either. So if you put 2 people without filters in the same room and give them a couple of drinks, you know what could happen. And I don't want to go that route. So anyways, so what are we watching this week? Well, on TV, which is Netflix, we've just found this. We just finished a show I talked about last week called Glitch, which is an Australian show. It's had 2 seasons so far. If you haven't seen it, if you've got Netflix, look for it. It's actually really good. It's very bizarre, and we talked about it last week. Now we have found something that's, I'm not really sure if I'm really into it yet, but it's got potential. We've only watched a couple of episodes of it, and I think it's a comedy, but it's called Glow. And Glow stands for Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. And apparently some guy, some producer...
It takes place in the 70s or something.
Or 80s.
Yeah.
I think it's the 80s.
Oh, okay.
And, yes, leg warmer 80s.
Yeah.
And he hires all these actresses to do this television show where they're going to do fake wrestling. As if there's any other kind of wrestling. I don't know. At least on TV. And apparently in the 80s, a friend of mine who follows wrestling and all that stuff, he said, he said in the 80s there was a whole bunch of women kind of did the thing that, pick them up, throw them on the mat. And
there was wrestling and there was roller derby.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
But anyways, it's kind of funny so far. It's a bit different. So that's called Glow. And then we saw a strange little science. Speaking of Australia, we watched a lot of stuff that comes out of Australia. There was this movie called Other Life. It's science fiction. It's Australian. And basically, they've created some kind of designer kind of drug software. It's got nanonites or whatever you call them. And you put it in your eye or something, and it basically creates memories of an experience that you've never really had, but it feels real to you. And then the main character gets trapped in this endless loop kind of a thing in it. It's a bizarre movie. It's kind of interesting. Not the best thing I've ever seen.
I thought it kind of dragged a bit.
Yeah, there were parts that kind of dragged, but it wasn't bad.
I don't know. Actually, over the years, even way before we went to Australia, we found that Australian movies and cinema are quite developed in that country. And some of their stuff is pretty interesting. And maybe it's also because when we were in Australia that we felt a lot of people sort of don't have much of a filter. I think that reflects in their movies as well, because in Canada they produce movies as well, but our Canadian movies are often not as interesting as...
Well, you can't say shit even if your mouth was full of it. That's another expression from my father. I can say shit even if his mouth's full of it.
But that's sort of the same thing. It's sort of I find a lot of their stuff. So if I see something that says it's an Australian film, it actually intrigues me even more to watch it, because I know it can be a little bit unusual.
Yeah, so it was worth the time, I thought. And then on YouTube, couple of things. One I've already mentioned, the pixel art guy. I will review it on my vlog, not this week, because I'm going to be talking about the Crafting Lumberjacks tomorrow. But I will review this other guy because his stuff is really quite good in this pearl, these things, these perler beads kind of a deal. And also we discovered last night, I like to go and see what other people are watching, so sometimes it comes up at the bottom, recommended, or for them and whatnot, or who they subscribe to, and I sort of play roulette with it. Let's go from this one to this one to this one, and maybe you'll hit something that's interesting. So we hit this series. It's BBC Three is the actual YouTube channel, and it has a whole bunch of different types of documentaries that are produced by the British Broadcasting Company corporation in the UK. And this particular one has this young Irish guy who's a journalist, and he's gay, and he did a little mini documentary. It's in several parts. We haven't watched all the parts yet, about things associated with the LGBTQ community in the UK. And it's really quite interesting and kind of eye-opening, because I always felt that England was very much like us here in Canada when it came to human rights and gay and lesbian and transgendered issues and stuff like that. Not really. The UK seems to be a little bit harsher than in Canada. In Canada...
Everybody's politically correct here.
Yeah, and that goes with the rant that I did, what's pissing me off there a week or so ago.
I mean, to the point where when gay marriage was coming in Canada, I kind of expected to hear things through the grapevine, people maybe talking about it at work and stuff. But I never heard nobody was talking about it at work. Nobody brought it up or anything like that. So it's sort of... and basically, the way it looked at is that most people really didn't really care about it one way or the other.
Not really a biggie.
It was really the politicians more, or maybe rural Ontario or rural Canada, that were having more of a problem with it. But urban Canada didn't seem to have a problem with it. So,
well, what do you call a guy that has 100 girlfriends? Sheep herder. Yeah. So I mean, really,
I knew that one.
That's probably better for Australia as well, but. I don't know. But yeah, so anyways, but they have other ones too, not just about LGBTQ. They've got a whole bunch of different playlists on different documentaries. And I like documentaries. I didn't used to like documentaries, but I'm much more into them now, because I figure if you're going to waste your time watching TV, you might as well get educated. about stuff. Of course, you got to.
I mean, and you have to sort of
What?
look through. Like, I mean, not all documentaries are actually fact.
No,
you have to realize that some of it is point of view situation.
But they're thought provoking.
Yeah.
That's the thing. No, you don't blindly go in and believe everything that you will hear because they spin it. But
just like the news does. The news spins stuff all the time.
Of course they do. Of course they do.
So, I mean, years ago when, to bring it back to the gay lesbian thing, years ago when we weren't as well accepted and they had a pride parade in Canada or something like that, then the news would pick out all the negative parts of it and display it and say, oh, well, look at the freaks, right? But because we attended it and that, there would be one or two people that would be dressed up, provocatively or differently or whatever, right? And they're
Good night, Kim.
And they're
Kimberly.
not, and that's, I mean, we never focused on that, but the news would pick that up. So you knew from seeing that on the news after attending it that you're being skewed one way or the other, and that's the case for any news that you see on TV.
See, Trump isn't that far off about the fake news because I used to teach media to the high school kids as well, and we used to do a whole unit on how to decipher what's real, what's not real, how do you check the facts. Don't take everything at face value about it. And that was before the term fake news came out. But really, there is a lot of, it may not be completely fake, but it's embellished. It's the spin. It's what they call the spin.
It's sort of like they can take anybody's interview, and depending on how it's edited in a sequence, and they can change the whole interview.
I used to show
based on they can change the perception of the whole interview because of the way it was edited. So
I used to show the kids a video series that came out of the UK, actually, a guy named Charlie Booker, I think was his name, and he had a whole series about how the media can manipulate sound clips and video clips in such a way that changes the whole context. And I used to teach that I used to teach that to the kids when I would teach them about reality television. And the thing was, the kids really believed, like things like Survivor and The Amazing Race and all the other ones, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and Big Brother and all those ones, that's exactly what was going on. I said, wait, you got to think about this. Those people are surrounded by cameras and camera people and staff and the whole bit. Even out in the middle of the deepest, darkest jungles of Africa where they're supposed to be going. I mean, think about this. This changes things. They're not out there really surviving. No one's going to be dying out here. It may not be as scripted as other television programs, but there is at least a very detailed outline, and they kind of fill in the parts in between with it all. And some of them still didn't believe me until I took them to the internet and showed them the scripts from the shows.
Well, not only that, so a place like when there was a strike of, in the U.S., there was a strike of script writers, and things like Survivor and that couldn't go through because they didn't have scripts.
They didn't have scripts. So, no. And in fact, we had some good friends who back, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer than that now, they got on one of those shows where they, you do a room in somebody's house, but you switch with your neighbor.
It was Trading Spaces or
Trading
something.
Spaces,
There was an American version and there was a Canadian version. They were on the Canadian version. And in these shows, they make it look like they're doing a whole home makeover in a day.
Yeah.
Right? But what actually ends up happening in real life is that it takes a month.
They didn't do any of the work.
And they didn't do any of the work.
They show them with a paintbrush or a roll of wallpaper in their hand. I didn't put that much in there. And they'll put up the first strip or paint a little piece, and then they cut the camera. In come all their crew. They go in like crazy, do it all up. Then they set the camera again as they have a paintbrush back in their hand. The people that own the house or putting the last stroke of paint on, but it's all been done
Well,
by
actually,
everybody else.
then we had other friends that had
Oh, yeah.
Homes on Homes or whatever.
Yeah.
Mike Holmes or whatever come in and evaluate their house. And
well, stop for a second. Mike Holmes is Canadian.
No.
He's famous on TV for home improvement shows, and he was supposed to have had all these years of experience as a general contractor, and he'd come into people's houses and go, "That's wrong. How did that ever get inspected? You can't live in that. This needs to be done. That needs to be done. We'll look after you. In a week, we'll have it. In 2-3 days, we'll have this all done."
Yeah.
But he's a charlatan. He actually doesn't have much of a background in general contracting. He just has somehow...
He just looks pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad looking guy. And he gets onto this show, and he produces the show as well, and it's bogus.
Anyway, so what ends up happening is they had their house evaluated and all this other stuff. It was for a specific reason. And they found all these flaws and all this other stuff. And they make it look like it's done in 2 or 3 days. But in actual fact, our friends had to move out of their house for 4 months.
They couldn't actually physically live in their house.
They had to move out. They ended up living with friends for 4 months while the work was being completed by all of the subcontractors. And then all the stuff was done, and the house looked wonderful afterwards. And they ended up having to pay a percentage of the...
Yeah, it was $160,000 renovation that they had done. They had to pay 10% of that.
Right, and
so they had to pay $16,000.
But 4 months later, walk in, it looked beautiful. It was great. They had all this work done and stuff like that, and featured on the television show and that. And
when they were sworn, they had to sign a signed contract saying that they would not reveal while the work was going on what was happening. Well, they weren't even allowed to see it. They weren't even allowed to get back into their house.
Yeah.
The 4 months until it was done, and then they had to sign all these waivers that they couldn't say anything negative
before it was aired, or couldn't say anything negative or anything like that. So I mean, we saw the house before and after, and they did a lot of work, and it was great and everything else.
They have since changed it.
They have since changed some aspects because they didn't do all the things they wanted to do.
Well, they were trying to get
some freebies.
Some freebies out of that more so. Like they wanted ceramic tile, and they got Berber carpet instead, and they weren't happy about that.
But anyway, I mean, it was benefit for the show and a benefit for them. And it's not like it was anything done that was nasty or anything like that. But the TV show makes it look like it's all done in one day.
It's done. Snap your fingers.
Really quick, and it's not. It took months to do this.
Yeah, months, and
so that's another reason. That's why another example of it being faked.
Yeah. So Brenda says, "I think the father of that," meaning about the fake news kind of idea, was Orson Welles' War of the Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to show the kids that one too, or talk about that one with them too as well, because set up a panic based on his book. Great publicity stunt though, to get people to read the book. It wasn't his book. Sorry, the book was written by H.G. Wells. It was Orson Welles, the actor, who did the radio program on Halloween 1938, I think it was. Not absolutely sure on that date, but got everybody into a big panic because they thought Martians were landing around and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, how did we get on to fake news?
We were talking about the BBC
documentaries. Anyways, there's a whole slew on there on BBC Three on YouTube. Just do a search for BBC Three. Don't put in the number 3. Put in 3 eyes for it, and you'll find it. And there's a lot of interesting stuff on there. So I don't know why we even bother with any kind of regular TV anymore, because everything you ever want to know comes off of YouTube, really, on that. Bev says, yep, they even have disclaimers every so often saying this was fake. My mother told me all about it. About the Orson Welles. Yeah, well, it was quite the thing at the time. But you see, in that day and age, it wasn't television age, it was radio age, and they used sound effects. It sounded like it was being a live news reporter out in the field, seeing all of this. That was all set up that way with it. And
though apparently, the people that got into the panic were somehow managed not to hear the disclaimers on.
Yeah, they didn't hear the disclaimers, but anyways. So, okay, so that's what we've been watching on YouTube. And so what's coming up? Well,
Christmas.
Christmas, of course, is coming up, and we've already talked about when we're going to do our next live. And right now, it looks like it'll probably be next Friday night, maybe Saturday night. Not really sure. We have things we have to do too to get prepared for Christmas Day as well. Bah, humbug. And so I'll let you know. You know, if you can't catch it live, catch it in the rebroadcast. Fine by us. Although we do like to interact with you. And we have a special event coming up on Thursday this week. It is our anniversary. This is what we call our real anniversary. We have 2 anniversaries in a year. Our real anniversary is the one we're having this Thursday, which means we've been together for 34 years. It's not our wedding anniversary. That comes in July. And this year, when July comes around, it'll be our 13th anniversary with that. But mainly because, you see, the reason gay people have a couple of anniversaries, and I think straight people do a lot this now too, because especially since that a lot of people move in together, live together, have children before, if they ever get married, before they get married, and so they sometimes do what we do. They count their time together, their anniversary, as from the time when they first moved in together or whatever, and the wedding part, if they did have that, is sort of secondary. And I can see that. Of course, for us, we never assumed that we would ever be able to get married. So
like, not only that, I mean, it was, you couldn't get married, so.
Yeah. So our official anniversary is the 21st of December, and it'll be 34 years. And so I didn't know if Walter wanted to do anything on the Thursday night or not for it, because we don't really usually do anything too elaborate about it. But now that he's got a little sous vide, and so he's talking surf and turf that night, and we'll do an elaborate meal and whatnot. So, yeah, I'll take a little video. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it'll just get too risque and can't do any of it. Yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, he giggles because he knows, yeah, it'll probably end up as let's have dinner now. Yeah. Well, and that would be him. That
no,
it is. As soon as when we had dinner last night, you're sitting over there on the couch as I got YouTube things on. You're going or playing your game on your iPad.
I get sleepy after having a meal for a little bit.
So lots of congrats coming in. Well, thank you for that. And wow, 34 years with him. I'm not sure if that him would be you or would be me, the him. Yeah, really, congratulations. Yeah,
I was a lot skinnier then too.
We were both a lot skinnier then. I had darker hair.
And I had hair.
And you had hair. Yeah, that was the other thing, too. But, yeah, well, we've been together longer than most marriages in this day and age. So, and lesbians. 34 years in lesbian years would be 5,000 years. Because, okay, if lesbians out there,
that's not true. We don't know very many.
No, I shouldn't say that.
We don't know we know a lot of men that have been in long-term relationships, but we don't know of too many women that have been for a really long time.
No, 2 weeks is an eternity for them. Sometimes.
If you hear 8 years, it's pretty bad. It's pretty. But yeah. I mean, not to say there's none out there, but it seems to be the ones that we've met over the years that they don't seem to last forever.
No.
Forever.
No. And actually, on that BBC thing I was talking about, we saw last night. They were talking about, gentlemen that they were interviewing were slightly older than us. They were more towards their latter 60s. One of them was into his early 70s and that. So they came just from maybe 10 years before our time in that. And they were just talking about how difficult it was. And many of them were married to women, had families. And then when they became empty nesters, they basically said, bye-bye, I'm going to have a life now. Which is kind of sad, but that's the way it was in those days. That's what was so interesting about this documentary series, too, is they talk about I mean, only 50 years ago, you could lose your job, you could be put in prison, you could...
40 years ago you could.
What's that? Yeah, well, yeah.
No, when I first started working in 78, you wouldn't be put in prison, but you could lose your job.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to we're
Brenda,
getting too serious again.
Yeah. Brenda, what do you mean? I think women want to change everything. That's something I would probably say, but then I don't have a filter. That's why they don't last. Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, not to sound like misogynistic or something like that, but you know, in a straight relationship, and we have lots of straight friends, and you know, the women always have the honey-do list. You know, it's on the side of the fridge. Guy doesn't want to do something like that. And you go, well, you've got the grass to cut today, then you got to fix that door and that leaky hinge, and you got to do this, that, and the other thing. If you're my brother, he's the principal cook in his family. Well, I haven't seen my brother in quite a long time, and don't talk to him. He used to be the principal, and I'm sure he probably still is, because my sister-in-law liked to cook. And when she did cook, well, you could see why she didn't like to, because it was crap. But my brother was the better cook. There was no two ways about it. But he worked all day, and he'd come home and cook at night. Okay, so really, is that any different from working women? I don't think it is. They have it too. But that's the one thing. We don't nag each other. I don't have a honey-do list for him.
I make my own list. He
makes his own list. I make my own list. Sometimes they come together, whatever. And after 34 years, anyways, we finish each other's sentences. Often, it's kind of scary sometimes to go, you know, I was thinking for lunch, maybe. I was thinking that too. Or maybe we should go, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, we have that happen a lot.
Yeah, that happens a lot. But, you know, if we were women, we'd both be having our period at the same time too. Oh, well. But anyways, yeah, I see that. It says that they always want to improve other person. Actually, I'm glad this is coming from a woman.
Well, actually, I don't know what I guess what it is that when you get two guys together, whether you're straight or gay or whatever, you have two male mentalities. When you get two women together, whether they're gay, straight, or whatever, you've got two female mentalities. And I don't know what it is, but for some reason, the women in the relationships that we have known of, even ones that we have heard of that have been in very long relationships, somehow down the road they always separate. So, and I don't really know why.
Yeah, it's a different mentality. It really is, and that's not being misogynistic. That's not being prejudiced or whatever about it.
Well, I don't know. I think guys just get used to each other, and you get to the point where you just, if you had any desire to leave or something like that, it's just not worth doing. So. Well, afterwards, it's better the devil you know than the devil you don't, you know, kind of thing. And I mean, I'm not as attractive as I used to be, so it might be hard to get somebody to, you know. What are you laughing at? I'm not a spring chicken either, so I'm not a chicken anymore.
No, you go. No, I'm not sure what we are now, but Brenda says that's why you've lasted so long. You go, girl. You go, girl. Yeah. Bye, Cindy. We'll see you next week at some point in time. Judith says, my hubby and I have been together 23 years and we share everything. We both work hard and that's how it has to work, 50-50. Good evening, gentlemen. Hi, Judith. Yeah, you know, that's what you would think should be in most relationships. But sadly, a lot of the relationships that I know of, and not just in the straight world, in the gay world too, there is one half that is more dominant than the other half. And that dominant personality tells the other one what to do. And so if it's going to last, that means one person has to be subservient to the other and enjoy that. And I guess some people do. I don't really feel that I've ever been subservient. We have our, as we have said before, we each have our niche that we do. And that's just the way it works. Like tonight on cooking. Of course, he's been supervising. Yeah, he does that a lot.
I did a banana bread today.
Oh, yay! Banana bread! Ooh! Gotta make a date nut loaf, too. Like, for that too. Yeah, well, fine.
I tried to make it sugar-free too.
Oh, your loaf sitting there, you keep staring at it like it's going to run away. And then Mel says, that's probably the reason why my best friends have always been men. Oh, that's also because if you have a gay man as a best friend, we can do your hair and your makeup. That's all. And pick out your outfits because we all know women suck at dressing themselves. Okay, no filter. All right. And what I mean by that is name the greatest designers in the world. What sex are they? Men. Think about it. And they're gay. All right. Well, okay, I'm just being facetious and funny now. So
I don't know if I'd be able to dress anybody and put it.
Bull roar! You sit there and you go. What are they thinking? What are they wearing there? What was going on? I could have done that better. Yeah. Don't give me that. Don't give me that. There's no way. People probably think I'm the one that does that. Yeah. No. He walks into a room. He eyeballs everything. If he ever comes into your house, watch it. Nothing will escape his attention. And he won't say anything to you, but when we get home, he'll say everything he's noticed. And he'll notice everything. In fact, I showed him my snowflakes I made with the perler beads. And then he goes, that one's not right. And I went, oh, I wondered how long it was going to take you to find that in there. Yeah, he spots it right like that. And the weird part is, my brother-in-law and sister are kind of the same way. And then you get the three of them into one room. And it's who can outdo the other one on top. Oh, Christmas Day is going to be so much fun. And then we have other friends.
Of course, then you get my sister and she tries to do everything.
Who?
Jessie.
She never tries to outdo anything.
Yeah, you know.
Jessie just sits there and goes, I suppose, whatever. Like that. No, your sister's like milk toast in most things.
We're getting close to the end.
Yeah, okay. The end. Well, I think we are. So anyways, that's what's coming up. Our anniversary, surf and turf, yay. If we can get some lobster or lobster tails. We were talking lobster tails, weren't you?
Yeah, but if I can get a whole lobster done.
Well, I was thinking though too, like in some ways, the lobster tails are like they're
actually I like the ones Costco had. They were decent size.
Oh, were they? Well, maybe those are the ones we should get then. Well, we have to go out and get other stuff this week too. We got to stock up on the booze for Christmas Day. Only way I'm going to get through it. By the end of the day, I'll be looking at the mess and going, yeah, let the maid get it. Virginia says, oh, wait, I'm backing up here. Mel says, most of my friends have been gays, had really fun 80s with them, great parties. Funny 80s, really funny 80s. Had really funny 80s with them, great parties. The 80s were the golden age because everything was underground and it was more outrageous. Now you can't get, no one will look at you sideways if you're gay, not in this country. I liked it when we used to be important. We're not anymore. Judith says, I'm like that too. I see everything. And then Virginia says, my hubby wants to correct everything people do and wear. I have a family full of those type of people. Believe me. If it's not my mother, it's my sister. If it's not my sister, it's my brother-in-law. If it's not my brother-in-law, it's him. But then they all like, as though, like, well, no, I'm just making suggestions. I don't consider this a suggestion. What the hell were you thinking when you got dressed this morning? My God, go in and change now. That's horrible. That's not really a suggestion. I know. Not at all. That's not a suggestion. That's not a suggestive voice. But yeah, anyways, move on. Yeah. So Brenda's going. You all have a good night. Looking forward to next time. Okay, you too. And I think, too, we'll probably go close off now. We've come to our time.
Close off?
Close off, shut down, go away, drop dead. I don't know, one or the other.
What? Were you getting naked? Close off.
I said close off, not close.
Oh, okay.
Close. Whoa! Anniversary has begun. Not. Anyways, everybody have a good week. Tune into my vlog later tomorrow. I've got pictures to show you of a couple of things. The snowfall, which is pretty, and what's the other video I was going to show? It took. Oh, Walter's new. I'm showing you a video of Walter and his meat. Not going there. Or maybe I will. Okay, so thanks for tuning in. Watch the notifications for when the next Stephen and Walter Live will be on, because it will not be on next Sunday because of Christmas Eve, obviously. Ho, ho, ho. And I hope you have a good week, and don't stress out too much about Christmas being just around the corner. Keep it live. Keep it happy. Whatever. Okay, we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.